Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Space Marine chapters as we talk about the Firehawks. If you guys have any requests for any other chapters or any 40K lore, comment down below. I'll try to create a video for that specific topic. And again, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel because we post Warhammer 40K content every single day. With that said, let's get into 40 facts about the Firehawks. The Firehawks was one of the loyalist Space Marine chapters created in the 36th millennium during the cursed 21st founding. This chapter is most known for fighting in the Bad App War, and it is believed that a small group of Firehawks became the cursed Astartes, known collectively as the Legion of the Damned. The Firehawks' original chapter color scheme was predominantly yellow, trimmed with red flames. The current chapter color scheme is faded orange, trimmed with yellow flames and yellow pauldrons. The Firehawks' original chapter badge was that of an exploding atomic mushroom cloud. The Firehawks' updated badge is a red phoenix rising from flames, centered on a field of yellow. The Legion of the Damned's power armor is black and marked with symbols of death and damnation, skulls, bones, and flames. The Firehawks was a loyalist Space Marine chapter, which came to a disastrous end. This chapter has long been a byword of devastation and wrath, noted in several classified sources as belonging to the cursed 21st founding of the 36th millennium. The chapter itself has always claimed descended from the renowned Ultramarines, although certain defects and variations in the genetic samples of the chapter held in the archives of the Adeptus Terra speak against this, and the Lord of Macragge has never publicly acknowledged their kinship. Regardless of their actual lineage in organization and structure, the Firehawks have always only broadly adhered to the Codex Astartes, and have sometimes come under deep suspicion by other chapters who obey its tenets absolutely. The Firehawks, in contrast to almost all other Space Marine chapters, have also long been notably strict adherents of the Imperial cult, believing in the Emperor's divinity and the divine right of mankind to dominate the stars. This chapter has seen its fair shares of victories and triumphs, but also more than its fair shares of tragedy. The Firehawks are one of only a very few chapters on record known to have survived the destruction of two separate homeworlds, and have been brought to the brink of extinction numerous times, only to rise like the primordial phoenix from the ashes. The infamous chapter's final fate remains uncertain and darkly rumored to the present day. What is known for certain is that the Firehawks' mobile fortress monastery, the Raptorus Rex, and 5 ships of the line, with a complement of approximately 800 brethren and some 2,000 other personnel, disappeared into the warp in the year 963 of the 41st millennium. The Firehawks were leaving the Pyrus system for the Crow's world subsector, and the chapter was ultimately declared lost in the warp. It is believed by some that some of the surviving Firehawks became the ghostly Legion of the Damned. In regard to the Legion of the Damned, all that is known is held by the Adeptus Administratum on Terra, and by the Firehawks themselves. It has been confirmed that the Legion's members are or once were the Firehawks that made the warp jump, though the origin of their seemingly supernatural abilities and mysterious interventions on behalf of beleaguered Imperial forces remains exactly that, a mystery. To date, a number of items have been recovered relating to the Legion of the Damned. In the year 987 of the 41st millennium, a patrol ship in the Marin subsector narrowly avoided a collision with a spacecraft at the Kift jump point. The patrol ship was entering the Kift system as the unidentified craft was leaving. Alerted by the close encounter, the patrol crew scanned the entire jump area and discovered 2 long cylindrical objects within the intruder's projected flight path. These were hauled aboard and proved to be standard space coffins without identification markings. These coffins were shipped back to Terra and carefully opened by the Adeptus Mechanicus. The 2 coffins contained a number of interesting items, that shed some light on the ultimate fate of the lost Firehawks chapter. The forms of 2 dead Space Marines were inside, both in an advanced state of decay. Their armor serial number tallied with those of equipment originally issued to the Firehawks chapter by the Adeptus Mechanicus. The bodies within were human, but further identification proved impossible due to their advanced state of decay. Further items such as the gnarled chapter banner of the Firehawks were found a year later, in the year 988 of the 41st millennium, with a High Gothic motto, In Dicato Imperium Ultra Articulo Mortis, for the Emperor beyond the point of death, inscribed upon it. Other items of interest, including miscellaneous sealed sundries and a digital flight recorder, were also recovered. The flight recorder was identified as being from the Absolute, the lead battle barge from the missing chapter. The flight recorder revealed little in the way of explanation of what had happened within the warp, only that the fleet had indeed been ravaged by a catastrophic warp storm of terrific intensity following their warp jump. Stunned by the intensity of the warp storm, the chapter was forced to endure the attacks of powerful warp entities as their Geller field began failing. Soon, ships after ship was destroyed and absorbed into the fabric of the warp. Only one craft remained and executed a daring warp exit maneuver. The craft managed to burst forth into real space, emerging far in the galactic east, thousands of light years off course, and beyond even the psychic light of the Emperor's Astronomicon. The Firehawks, unlike most Space Marine chapters, were notably strict adherents of the Imperial cult, believing in the Emperor's divinity and humanity's manifest destiny to dominate the stars. For example, in the early 36th millennium, such was the fever of their faith that they became deeply involved in the wars of the Age of Apostasy, whereas many other chapters stayed on the sidelines of this vicious religious civil war, paying in blood for their conventions in support of the Thorian reforms. The chapters Astartes were also rigid believers in the Imperium of man's established status quo, and they took a singular interest in the destruction of renegade imperial commanders, apostolic cardinals, and other wayward imperial lords, regularly consigning entire cities and colony worlds to the fire in order to achieve their aim. The chapter has often been held in higher regards among the High Lords of Terra and their agents than by many of its other wartime allies, particularly among the Astartes. Because of this, it is known to be a case that several other Space Marine chapters consider the Firehawks darkly tainted, over prideful, and wanting in brotherhood. Some going so far as to suggest that they have been corrupted by some flaw in their chapter's collective psyche or gene seed, though none would gainsay their effectiveness in battle. Once again, it may be these perceived flaws that the Legion of the Damned now seeks to remedy with their penance. The Firehawks is a chapter that was long renowned for its focus on individual battle prowess and martial pride of its warriors. Honored duels with traditional swords and heated iron brands were actively encouraged between the ranks when not engaged in campaign, both for honor and to settle grievances between the battle brothers, and sometimes these duels were fought to the death. This tradition was thought to have originated from the ritual of the warrior castes of their first homeworld of Zoros, which had been deliberately preserved by the chapter over time and abraded by its chaplains. The Firehawks' tactical doctrines have always orated towards the use of shock tactics, close quarter combat, and above all, the brutal application of focused and overwhelming force to obliterate the enemy. This chapter also had a propensity towards habitually deploying the majority of its elite first company in battle as vanguard squads where a Terminator assault was not warranted. Even the Firehawks tactics and Devastator squads preferred to engage at point-blank range when possible. They were also known to utilize extensive stocks of ancient Mark III iron pattern power armor, especially for use in boarding assaults. The Firehawks also favored the use of Land Raider patterns, such as the Redeemer and Crusader, as well as Vindicator pattern rhinos as mobile artillery batteries in open war to shatter a breach in any prepared defense, allowing the Firehawks to enter close combat with their foes. It is also noted by Imperial historians that the Firehawks eschewed the use of defensive warfare, despising the inglorious nature of sustained bombardment or long-range firefights as indecisive and unfit for the honor of an Astarte warrior. Chapter also refused to use camouflage as the livery of curs, for its Astartes believed in boldly wearing the chosen livery of their chapter as a visible sign to their foes of the destruction and cleansing they bring. Thus the chapter's sacred color of blood crimson and fire yellow. Amongst the upper echelons of the chapter, the use of the death's heads and other symbols of survival against all odds and the scorn of mortal fear were also quite common. Firehawk Astartes were also known to customarily modify their armor as they saw fit, decorating their ceramite plates with personal heraldry in order to display their achievements of battle, as well as the battle in which they had fought. The Firehawks were a well-equipped fleet-based force, with both capital warships and escorts, and their battle companies were permanently split in deployment between these combat vessels, with their reserve companies, the Elite First Company, and the chapter's high command, based upon the gargantuan warp-capable star fortress, Raptorus Rex. The chapter's substantial fleet required a considerably large number of reserves for chapter serfs and servitors to perform regular crew and support duties. The Firehawks demanded absolute obedience from their large pool of indentured servants, and also considered them utterly disposable. Despite its avowed defense of the Imperium, its religious zeal and strength of purpose, a shadow has long hovered over the chapter, and allegations of excessive use of force by it against civilian populations have often been leveled, as have accusations of desertion in the face of its foes by its allies. In numerous battles, the Firehawks have been observed to have withdrawn their forces from situations where their ranks might become needlessly depleted by attrition, or where a tactical advantage has been clearly lost in favor of a later devastating counterattack. This callous disregard for the fate of others has proven less than popular with their allies, as one might imagine. And on one such occasion, the decision to withdraw from what the Firehawks considered a bad position in battle was the cause of 3-century-long feud with the Iron Hands chapter. This feud ended only with the death of the Firehawks' force commander from the disputed battle in single combat with a champion of the Iron Hands to settle the matter. This disregard for others may be the reason that the Legion of the Damned now seeks to provide reinforcement to other Imperial forces under fire whenever possible, in an attempt to atone for its previous behaviors. And those were 40 facts about the Firehawks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about the Firehawks, please click on the link below. That's going to take you to the wiki page for these guys. There's way more lore there that I did not cover. And also, if you want to learn more about the Legion of the Damned, we actually have a series on it. So check out our playlist on our channel. We talk about the Legion of the Damned and, you know, all the potential ideas of the Legion of the Damned, whether they're saints or whether they're just corrupted by chaos because they went through the warp. But again, check that video out. And thank you so much for liking, commenting, and sharing. Because of you sharing on Facebook, Twitter, because of you commenting down below, it really helps out the channel and it helps us create more videos for you. So thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.